Before you drop hundreds of dollars in the wrong cards, I need you to watch this video. Today we're diving into 10 overpriced Pokemon cards that could crash in the near future. I will show you why exactly these aren't worth your money, what red flags to watch for, and which cards actually deserve your attention for that exact same price. Get ready because number 10 isn't just overpriced, for me it's the biggest bubble in the entire hobby. The first card of this list is Dragapult EX from Prismatic Evolutions. Now this is a special illustration rare coming from a kind of pricey set, so I understand the situation here. Sealed product of Prismatic Evolutions such as booster packs are super expensive right now and are kind of hard to get apart from being expensive, so I understand that the cards inside will be quite pricey, especially now that the set hasn't been out for a long time. But you have to understand that when buying single cards, spending this amount of money for a card that is quite average is kind of stupid. And spending $170 for this card near mint is quite overpriced. Before I forget, I'm giving away this new Discovery Umbreon pack when we hit 10,000 subscribers. This is a channel giveaway and the only requirements to enter is to like, comment and subscribe. It is completely free. What I would recommend doing instead is going for the Espeon B from Evolving Skies. Espeon B is going for around 160, so you could probably just trade your Dragapult for this beautiful alternative rare from Evolving Skies. I think Evolving Skies is one of the greatest sets of all time, so I think this Espeon will perform really well in the future if you're looking for kind of an investment. And honestly, if you're just looking for a beautiful piece in your collection and a Pokemon that is quite more desirable than a Dragapult, this is a great opportunity. If we talk about older cards, there are some cards that are quite overpriced too, such as this one, which is Rayquaza VMAX from Silver Tempest. Don't get me wrong, Rayquaza is my favorite Pokemon and I'm a big fan, but this card just doesn't do the job for me. I think it's a cool trainer card, but with all the trainer cards that are available all through the Sword and Shield era, I think $75 for this is quite overpriced. What I would do instead is focusing on something a bit more vintage and some Pokemon that is actually desirable. What I propose with this price range is to go for the Mewtwo GX from Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates is such a popular set from the Sun and Moon era. It's a really beautiful set with all these shiny cards inside, all this shiny vault, and of course the Charizard, the infamous shiny Charizard. But you know, this Mewtwo, it's actually a shiny Mewtwo, which is quite a popular Pokemon. It's coming from a really good and desirable set that is getting super expensive. It's about $5 less than this Rayquaza, and if I had a budget of $70, I would definitely go for the Mewtwo. Another $80 card that it's quite overpriced in my opinion is the Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX from Chilling Reign. These cards in Japanese are going for crazy amounts of money. Maybe these Pokemons are more desirable there, but I don't think these Pokemons are super popular. I think the arts are okay, but coming from Chilling Reign, which has beautiful cards inside such as the Galarian Moltres, I think this is not what we would be looking for $80. Now, I have another proposal. Ironically, it's an Espeon again, and ironically, it's from Hidden Fates again, and it's the GX Shiny Espeon from Hidden Fates. The reasons are pretty simple here. I think all the evolutions are quite popular and desirable, so if you want a card that holds value or that increases value in the future, an evolution is a lot of times a good option, and I think this Espeon looks pretty good. It is true that this is not an alt art or a special illustration rare, it's kind of only a full art, but the fact that they are shiny and the fact that we get these silver cards that look really beautiful in real life make these cards far more desirable than a random Shadow Rider Calyrex. Now, I will have to contradict myself here because the next card is actually a Umbreon, which is kind of the new Charizard, the new most popular Pokemon, and it's the Umbreon VMAX from Brilliant Stars. Again, I'm not hating on these cards for being ugly, but I just think they are quite overpriced. This card is going for $75, which is quite expensive for a Trainer Gallery card, and I think there are a lot of Trainer Gallery cards inside Brilliant Stars, like the rest of the evolutions that go for $10, and then some other great options like from Lost Origin, the Charizard that we have talked about in this channel before, and the fact that this is like 5 or 7 times the price of the other ones makes me think that this card will actually decrease in price in the future. I have a great proposition for you for this budget, and what I would do with this $70 to $75 would be to grab all the evolution line from Duskull in its Routed Fable. meaning the Duskull illustration rare, Dusclops illustration rare, and then the Duskner illustration rare. What we're doing here is grabbing a not so popular set like Shrouded Fable and grabbing some of the cards that are actually worth it from inside. And what I like about this is that you can have all these evolution lines for kind of cheap. So if you can grade them together and maybe like get a 10 on all of them, like sequential 10s and stuff, this is a really cool idea. And I think it's way better than spending $73 in a random Umbreon card. I understand why the price is so high, but I think we have to take also into consideration that there are a lot of Umbreon cards that look just better than this, and this won't be like that much popular. Given the current market situation, it's so hard to find cheap products, and that's why I partnered with Pokenotify, which are the sponsors of today's video. Pokenotify is a Discord server where you can join for a really cheap monthly subscription, and you will get notified about any products that get back in stock in whatever country you're located in. You have a 3-day free trial, so you can try absolutely for free. The subscription is about $6.99 per month, and you get a 25% discount if you use the code PokeBeam25. Imagine grabbing a Prismatic Evolutions or a 151 booster bundle for retail, which is about $28 to $30. Given the price they are going right now, just for that difference you would pay 7 or 8 months of the subscription, so I think it's really worth it. Make sure to check them out. You have all the information below. We have to come back to Prismatic Evolutions, and this is quite a random one because it's Crispin Special Illustration Rare from Prismatic Evolutions. I don't even know who he is, honestly. I haven't played the last games of the series, so I'm guessing it's a trainer from there. I don't know, but it's going for $60, and I think it's kind of a waste, honestly. Like, to spend $50 to $60 in some random trainer just because the set is quite expensive, I think it's not the best idea here. And what I would say you can do for that exact amount of money is to buy the Squirtle illustration rare from Stellar Crown. Now, this card going for $60. When Stellar Crown released, I think it was like $30 or something like that, so it has increased a lot in value, but I have the feeling that some illustration rares are just made to be expensive. Like, we have the perfect example in the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved, or also the Groudon from Paradox Rift, which has been like increasing in price lately. I don't think it's crazy to think that these super popular illustration rares will be like $100 or $150 like the Magikarp. Just for the fact that they aren't a special illustration rare doesn't mean that these cards will not increase in price. I understand that these are quite easier to pull than the special illustration rares like the Greninja from Twilight Masquerade or the Pikachu from Surging Sparks, but we have to understand that these Pokemon are so much popular, and the fact that they are quite affordable, which $50 to $60 is quite affordable, especially in the US, and for all these OG people that we are kind of older and we have a bit of money to spend in Pokemon cards, I think the level of people that just want this card is so high that it will just make these cards be super expensive in the future. So if you had $60, I don't think that you would say, hey, let's buy Crispin, but what I'm saying here is that if you have that card, I would trade it for something like this Squirtle, or maybe you can find another option, maybe like a bunch of illustration rares that are actually cheaper, like $5 to $6 illustration rares. I think that's a way better idea than just having that random trainer card. Let's move to the early Sword and Shield era with Vivid Voltage and the famous Rainbow Chunkachu that I hate so much and that people can't stop comparing with the special illustration rare Surging Sparks Pikachu. I think it's years ahead, like the Surging Sparks Pikachu is years ahead of this card. I don't like the design of this, honestly. I know there's a lot of people who actually like it. I think this card is going for $150 to $160 right now, just for the popularity that it had back then. I think it was kind of crazy to get a Pikachu as a chase card, and I understand the hype that it was at the moment, but we have to understand that we have a bunch of Pikachu cards, and I think this is like not even close to the best ones we had. So I don't think this card will go for much in the future. We're talking about one of the most popular Pokemons of all time, which will help. But what I would say here is that spending even like $10 or $15 less, you can grab the Mew VMAX from Fusion Strike. There's two reasons I would prefer this Mew instead of this Pikachu. The first one is that I like the art more. And the second one is that I think Fusion Strike is clearly like one of the top contenders from being like top 3 or top 4 inside the Sword and Shield era. I think Vivid Voltage is kind of a bad set, to be honest. And I think that the sealed product of Vivid Voltage will just not increase that much. And same as we are seeing right now with Prismatic Evolutions, when the sealed product is super expensive, the cards inside kind of have to be expensive too, because less and less people are opening these packs. So with Fusion Strike now pushing what, $500 or $550 per booster box, which is actually crazy, and it's the price Evolving Skies was like what, 1 year ago. This is the third best chase card inside Fusion Strike, so I think for $140 it's still a great opportunity. I know this was $60 probably like a year ago or so, so I understand the hesitation of spending like double that amount right now for a card, but if you had this chunk and chew, or if you have this budget to buy one of these cards, I would definitely go for the Mew. Let's go with another famous Rainbow VMAX, and this time it's the Charizard VMAX from Champion's Path. I don't like these VMAX Rainbow cards. I hate Rainbow cards in general. I think they were pretty like a flaw from the Sun and Moon era, and then with these late sets like Team Up and Cosmic Eclipse, they started doing like these crazy tag teams, alt arts and all these things that were actually like the way to go in my opinion. Now this card is quite expensive, it's about $190. I understand it's Charizard, which is quite the popular Pokemon, but here I've done something that I think you will like, which is changing a Charizard for another Charizard, and for this price, actually for less, a bit less than this price, I would say about $5 to $10 less, you can grab the Charizard from Brilliant Stars. There's two things to talk about here. Brilliant Stars is a great set from the Sword and Shield era, whilst Champion's Path is not that great, honestly. It only has 2 Charizard inside. I quite like the Charizard B from Champion's Path, but not the Charizard VMAX, honestly. And I think that the art of the Charizard B from Brilliant Stars is just almost perfect, honestly. You can see Charizard fighting against Venusaur, which are two like super popular Pokemon from the Generation 1. I've been talking like so good about this card since it was like $100, which made no sense, honestly. It made no sense. I think Brilliant Stars sealed product will increase in price in the future, and I think that this Charizard will be one of the chase cards of the Sword and Shield era. Honestly, I still don't understand why it is so cheap. I understand $185 is quite expensive in general, but for being a Charizard V, I understand it's like not as hard to pull as a VMAX, I guess, but it's definitely the chase of Brilliant Stars, and I think that the art is so much better. So if you're going for a Charizard in that price range, I would definitely go with the second one. The next one is Drowsy Illustration Rare from Scarlet and Violet Vase. Now, I won't give any examples of what you should do instead of buying this card. This card is here just purely to speak about FOMO. This card is currently going for $30, but it was pumped to almost $100 some months ago. I would say a month or 2 months ago. And what I just want you to know is that some cards get kind of manipulated in the market. Inside of TCG Player, it's kind of easy to create like this fake demand. So if you see a random card that is just pumping a lot in price really fast and you don't understand what is going on, I would stay away of that, honestly, guys, because I think that some people there just try to manipulate this Drowsy. The art is not bad, but the fact that it was going for $80 or $90 it was quite stupid, honestly. There's no reason for this card to be that expensive, and I just wanted to talk about that really quick. If you see a price increase that makes absolutely no sense, just stay away from it. Wait a couple months and then buy the card if you still like it. Something similar happened with Morty's Conviction from Temporal Forces. It's a card where you can see a Gengar with Morty, which kind of makes sense for this card to go for about $50, which is the current market price. But the price fluctuation of this card has been too crazy. And when I mean too crazy, I mean it. Like the highs and drop were they just felt artificial, honestly. I don't think this card was actually fluctuating normally in price. And I think this card is okay, but if you were about to spend $50 for a card, I will have to come back to Stellar Crown Illustration Rare Bulbasaur. I know we've talked about the Squirtle before. The Squirtle is going for about $60, and this Bulbasaur is going for around $45 to $50. I would rather have that Bulbasaur like 10 times over this Morty's Conviction card. I think all the 3 starters from Gen 1, you've got the Charmander coming from the Obsidian Flames Elite Trainer box as a promo card, you've got the Squirtle, and you've got the Bulbasaur, and I think these 3 look crazy good together. If you can get all of them graded, they look super good. Like they're such a nice set, honestly, and they are super popular. So if you want to spend $50 in a card, I think Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown is a great option. And the last card, which I find absolutely stupid, honestly. Maybe I'll get some hate for this, maybe you like this card, I don't know, but it's Roaring Moon EX from Prismatic Evolutions. I think Prismatic Evolutions is quite like the most overpriced set in terms of cards inside. I don't think the sealed product is that overpriced, honestly, but some of the cards inside are just ridiculous. While I was scripting this video, this card was $310 and right now it's already $230, and I'm talking about like 1 to 2 week difference, so you can see what is going on here. These cards are going down quite fast, honestly. That's like a 30 or 40% drop in a week and a half, which is absolutely crazy. I definitely don't recommend spending $230 for this card. I think Roaring Moon is kind of a random Pokemon. I understand it's like Salamence is quite popular, but I don't know, like I don't see the reason why this card is so expensive, to be honest. I'll have to say that the art is quite good. I think this would be a great card for like $70 to $80, but it's definitely better than the Dragapult DX that we've talked before, but it just feels wrong that this card is $200 and something, like it just feels bad. And I have 3 options here for you for about that price range, but before I want to talk about the Roaring Moon EX from Paradox Rift. Don't get me wrong, I don't think this card looks better than the other one. I think that the Prismatic Evolutions art is better, but I just want you to notice the price gap here because the one from Paradox Rift goes for $45, so I think you can see why I'm just so hesitant to spend like $200 more in the other card. I think the price gap here is absolutely crazy, and the reason Roaring Moon EX from Paradox Rift is like one of my recommendations is because if you actually love Roaring Moon as a Pokemon, I would go for this card. I think it's quite cheap, and $45 for one of the chase cards of Paradox Rift that might be going for $200 and something already is definitely your way. And here I have 2 options. If you have like that budget, like $230 to $250, what I would recommend is going for the Dragonite V from Evolving Skies. Again, I think Evolving Skies is one of the greatest sets in history and has madurated already. Like it's like 3-4 years old now, which is like that sweet spot of, you know, not much people is opening Evolving Skies, especially because the packs are like $30 already. So you have that Dragonite V going for around $250 to $260, which I think is a great option compared to this Roaring Moon. And if you're going like all out and you just want a really expensive chase card, let's say, I would go with the Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade. I know there's quite a price gap right now, but as I said, this Roaring Moon was like $300 when I was scripting this video, and this Greninja is like $310, so it was like the option that made more sense. So I understand there's like a $70 to $80 difference here, but if you're going all out and you want this strong chase card going for $300, I think that the Greninja is definitely the way to go. Greninja is a super popular Pokemon, and I personally love the art from Twilight Masquerade, so you would be better off just buying that. Let me know what you think about this list. Tell me if you think that there are other cards that are quite overpriced right now, and what should we buy instead. I read all of you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.